Viewers, the second day of the survey on the BBC, and we have with us Mr. Kanchan Gupta, who is an advisor at the INB Ministry, and he joins us live. Mr. Gupta, you have been, of course, a journalist of repute, and you know that journalistic organizations are not above scrutiny when it comes to answering to the law or the tax authorities. But nonetheless, you also know, and you will perhaps concede, that the optics of the survey are perhaps damaging. Now, you opposed the UPA for precisely this sort of action in the past. You yourself, I remember, for a tweet were persecuted. How do you see the criticism that is coming your way today on the timing of this action, the optics of this action?
Rahul, let me put it this way. The optics which you talk about would be quote-unquote bad, no matter when the income tax authorities would have conducted the survey. So, I mean, you know, the BBC has been consistent since 2002 in attacking Prime Minister Modi. He was then Chief Minister Modi of Gujarat, and it has been a relentless attack. And since 2014 till now, they have seen nothing good happening in this country under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. So even if this survey were to have been conducted last year or next year, the so-called optics would have been the same. But that said, I think we should not conflate what BBC has done unto us with what the IT officials are doing right now.
That's interesting. So you say just park the optics aside. They would have been bad at any time under Mr. Modi's regime. But let's then focus on the timing aspect, which is also what I raised with you, and the opposition is raising, and they're saying that, look, the government recently expressed displeasure over the docu-series, The Modi Question, and we know that government spokespersons, as well as, of course, the BJP spokespersons came out and lashed out at the BBC for its malign agenda against Mr. Modi, and now follows this sort of crackdown. How do you answer to this aspect, the timing aspect?
No, as I said, that no matter when this action was taken, those critical of it would have criticized it nonetheless. So I don't think government conspires to sort of stagger things in a way that one follows the other. Look, now it is for income tax authorities, the CBDT, and even the finance ministry to actually come out with the exact details. It is their remit. All I will say is that this is not something which happened out of the blue. Notices, I'm told, and I understand this is correct, notices were served on BBC, several of them, and there was no convincing, there was either no response or no convincing response. This is not the first time that the BBC has got entangled with Indian tax authorities. I have with me papers about how they were asked to resubmit their returns because they had not made full disclosures on transactions. This was when the UPA was in power. And they went to court, the Delhi High Court, and they got off the hook on a technicality because because of some document which was not available. So a technicality help them get off the hook then, but that has not stopped their this whole thing of not being above board on how they are handling their taxes. I am told that this is largely about transfer pricing rules and the diversion of profits thereof. You know what is transfer pricing? You will transfer one person from one department to another department, and say Department A transfers one person to Department B, and then Department A will charge Department B a hugely highly inflated cost of that transfer, and then that is sort of written off from the taxable income. So they keep on doing this, or they are believed to have been doing this, and there are many foreign companies who have been found to be doing this, of stacking up this transfer costs and thereby evading taxes over here. Now this is not acceptable.
Okay, but your critics, and I was reading editorial in, I think, the Indian Express this morning about the daylight knock, as they called it. And they said that, look, while it would be assumed that the government would say that everyone needs to comply with Indian laws, and one can't obviously disagree with that, there have been so many instances of the government going after media or those that dissent against it.
No, I mean, if you're talking of income tax or financial authorities, whether it is IT or ED, conducting inquiries, now they have also done search, seizure, and scrutiny of accounts of Indian media houses, and in all those cases, the media houses could not come up with plausible explanations. So to say that this is punitive, it would suggest that the media is above the law of this country, that media houses are not accountable as far as taxation laws are concerned, that media houses cannot be questioned, that media houses cannot
No one is arguing that. I began by saying that the media obviously must conform to the laws of the land when it comes to tax, etc. But look at the action or the surveys on Amnesty or CPR, the Center for Policy Research. Many people say that, look, the process is the punishment here. You will come in, you will seize phones, this, that, the other, nothing really comes out of it. Even in this particular case, the IT department, despite 48 hours, is yet to put out any official statement. And the insinuation is made and nothing really...
If I'm not wrong, an action against Amnesty began even before the Modi government came in. Nothing that Amnesty was doing in terms of funding, fund collection, fund management, and fund handling was above board. They had created an intricate web of deceit to sort of bypass Indian laws. So the action on Amnesty is no way comparable to what we are talking about over here. When it comes to CPR, and not only CPR, a couple of other organizations, again, the income tax authorities conducted surveys. They were not raids or seizures. They just checked the account books to ensure that people were in compliance. Now, you don't want to give agencies their agency, but you say that if agencies go and look at the documents or the books of any organization, that reduces the agency of that organization. Now, that doesn't work, because these are, whether it is CPR and the others who were visited by the tax authorities. These are big organizations. They are handling large amounts of money. And it is necessary to ensure that they are in compliance. Now, if there is any doubt, then that doubt is taken care of by what is called a scrutiny of papers, and it is not a raid. A sort of,
in effect, as I said, on the agency of the media.
Why should it have a chilling effect? If BBC's accounts are in order, if account books are in order, then why should it have a chilling effect on BBC?
Okay.
I mean, it's as good as BBC being told that please bring your account books to our office. Now that is physically not possible in this day and age, because a lot of it is stored digitally. The authorities visit your office and you say, yes, here is everything, and have a look. Now I'm not going to give you names, but a large number of organizations face similar scrutiny.
Okay. Let me ask you this, my final question to you. The BJP yesterday held a press conference and talked about the BBC's content, and you also sort of referred to it and its intrinsic bias against the NDA, in particular Prime Minister Modi. This almost suggests that the government has acted on the BBC out of a sense of pique.
See, if government had to act against BBC out of a sense of pique or out of a sense of rage, it need not have waited this long. It would have done what Mrs. Indira Gandhi did to the BBC. So please let me disabuse your mind and the minds of your viewers that there is no action in pique. The government could have acted in a similar manner in 2014, 2015, 2016, 2018, 2019 for what the BBC did to Chief Minister Modi when he was in Gujarat. So, I mean, I could go on explaining this to you. Look, Rahul, I don't know whether you are aware, but the BBC has been caught by Britain's His Majesty's Revenue and Customs Department.
Yes.
Not once, but on several occasions. And the whole scam, it does look like a scam, is that the BBC avoids paying employees' insurance tax by offloading employees into what they call freelance journalists. And then those freelance journalists are advised by BBC to set up their own little front commercial companies into which the money is paid, not to an individual, but to that shell company. And I think in one occasion they had to set aside £12 million to pay as taxes and punitive fines for trying to haze the authorities over there. So they are doing it in UK. Why is it that BBC doesn't say, or the media like you are saying right now, why don't you say that is going to create a chilling effect on BBC when His Majesty's Revenue and Customs Department, which is a non-ministerial department, acts against the BBC for tax evasion? Now, if a company is doing, because for all practical purposes, although it's a public broadcaster, it is Britain's public broadcaster, the BBC is a foreign company doing business in India. There is no reason for me to trust BBC over other foreign companies. If the other foreign companies are open to scrutiny, subject to penalties, and subject to mandatory compliance, so is the BBC. The BBC is not God's gift to earth that they should be treated as something different.
Well, Mr. Gupta, thank you very much for speaking to Times Now and setting out your side of the story. Obviously, there are many out there who are speaking in multiple voices, questioning the government, and I think most of those
Rahul,
questions have been answered.
Rahul,
Yes.
just let me repeat,
Yeah.
as Anand keeps on telling you, just 15 seconds. No.
Go ahead.
See, just three quick points.
Yeah.
One, this has no bearing at all with what BBC writes, reports, or puts out. Two, BBC faces similar charges, allegations, and proven charges in the UK, its home country. Three, if the government wanted to be vindictive, if we wanted to be vindictive, and if we wanted to go after the BBC or any other news outlet for writing against the Prime Minister or the government, we would have done it at any point of time. And especially the BBC, it could have been targeted anytime after 2014. Government never bothered with it. That is not how Prime Minister Modi works. And while I suppose anything which is targeted at the government is found to be offensive, but Prime Minister Modi never allows himself to get distracted by stones thrown into the pond. I mean, it's of no consequence at all.
Well, Mr. Gupta, thank you very much for speaking to me, speaking to Times Now. Let's leave it at this. We are awaiting details, of course, from the tax authorities, viewers, and hopefully things will become a lot more clearer. Thank you very much.
Well, we should